Okay, so Invincible just wrapped up its 4th season, and honestly, this season was wild. So let's talk about it. But first, I just want to give a spoiler warning because I am going to be spoiling stuff from season 4, so if you haven't watched or finished season 4 yet, go ahead and do that and then come back to this video. And I also want to say I have not read the comics, so I would greatly appreciate it if you don't spoil anything from the comics to me. Alrighty then, now that that's all settled, let's talk about So I have been a big fan of Invincible ever since season 1. I thought season 1 was great, and I think the show has been pretty consistently great after that. And especially season 4. I think season 4 was really solid. They did a lot of great stuff this season. Like, I really liked Mark's character this season. I thought Mark was kind of interesting this season, because now he doesn't have a no-kill world anymore. He is open to killing people if it's necessary, like what he did in episode 1. I thought episode 1 was such a great start to the season, and it just shows that Mark is willing to kill people now if it's necessary. I also loved a lot of the stuff with Nolan this season. I think he had some great development this season. Like, at first he wasn't willing to go to war against the Viltrumites, but that quickly changed to him trying to protect his family and being actually willing to fight the Viltrumites just to protect his family. And I did really enjoy that, and I also love the dynamic between Nolan and Alan. I think it's a really fun dynamic. And one scene I loved in season 4 that includes Nolan is when he meets Debbie again for the first time ever since season 1. I thought that was such a great scene, and I just loved everything about it. How Debbie reacted to everything, how she talked to him. I thought it was such a great scene, and it showed how great of characters both Debbie and Nolan are. And now, one small complaint I do have is kind of Adam Eve. Now, this is a complaint I have had about her character ever since she got with Mark, honestly. And that is the fact that she doesn't really do a lot of stuff on her own, and a lot of her character just revolves around Mark. Because I want her to be able to stand more on her own and have more of her own struggles. Like, yeah, she had some of her own struggles with the pregnancy stuff, but a lot of that was just off screen, and I wish we got a little bit more of that, because I want more of Adam Eve doing stuff on her own and struggling with stuff that isn't related to Mark. Because it just feels like she's just there for Mark. That's what I felt like for most of this season. That whenever Eve was there, she was kind of just there for Mark a lot of the time. And I do hope she gets some more struggles of her own throughout the next couple of seasons. And I did also really enjoy Tech Jacket this season. I know they made some changes to Tech Jacket from the comics to the show. Like, I know in the comics Tech Jacket is a man, but here it is a teenage girl. And I don't have any issues with the changes at all. I don't really care about gender swaps in general if their gender isn't important to the story. So I am fine with Tech Jacket being a girl here. And I did really enjoy her character. I thought she was a pretty fun character, honestly. And I hope we get to see her more in the future. And I also really enjoyed that they brought Conquest back. I thought it was so funny, honestly, that when Conquest woke up in his prison, it didn't even take 10 seconds for him to break out. He broke out in a couple of seconds. I thought that was so funny. How confident Cecil was that this prison will hold him, and it didn't even take 10 seconds for him to break out. And I also loved his rematch with Mark. That was one of the best fights in the season, and probably one of the best fights in the show. And even though it's sad that he's gone, I thought his presence in the show was really good, and the time we spent with him was amazing. He did so much damage back into season 3, and did a lot of damage in season 4 as well, with how he died by just ripping Mark's guts out right before he died. But the character that was the biggest highlight for me this season was Thrag. Now, before this season came out, I was honestly really excited to see Thrag, cause even though I haven't read the comics, I've heard so many people hype him up so much and telling like he's the strongest Viltrumite and how menacing he is. And yeah, I can see how he's the strongest Viltrumite and how he's menacing, cause good grief, he is menacing. And I can totally see how he's the strongest Viltrumite as well, cause he does not mess around. In episode 6, the first episode where he became like an active player, he didn't really do much, so that was kind of worrying. Well, not that worrying. I wasn't really worried, but it wasn't the best introduction to him. However, in episode 7, that's when it all went down. He was ruthless, and he really showed his strength because no one was even able to lay a finger on him. He didn't even get a scratch. Like, we had 4 Viltrumites fighting him, plus Battle Beast, Space Rider, and Tech Jacket. And he didn't even get a single scratch. And I loved him. They made him so menacing and so threatening. Like, there's no way to beat him with just pure strength alone. And I am really excited to see Thrag more in the future of the show. And I'm just excited for the future of the show in general. Because how this show ended with Viltrumites being on Earth now, it is so interesting the direction they're going, and I'm so excited for it. And I love that they destroyed Viltrum. That was such a cool and unexpected scene. Dude, this show is so good at plot twists and surprises. It is unfathomable how many surprises there are in this show. And I also love the whole backstory of the Viltrumites with the Scourge virus and the fact that the ring around their planet is just a bunch of dead Viltrumites. I think that is such a cool detail, honestly. And it makes Viltrum as a planet and just Viltrumites in general a lot more menacing. Now, one complaint I do have about the season is episode 4. Now that the season is fully out, episode 4 sticks out like a sore thumb. It had basically nothing to do with the season. Like, yeah, we got some good talks between Damien Darkblood and Mark, but that's kind of it, honestly. This feels a lot like a filler episode. I'm not exactly gonna call it a filler episode, because Damien Darkblood is back on Earth now, so I think he's probably gonna come back in the future. So we'll just have to see if this really ends up becoming a filler episode or not. But I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of the episode though. I thought a lot of it was kind of boring. Like, I did like seeing Damien Darkblood again. I think he's a great character. But other than that, the episode felt kind of worthless. Like, there wasn't really many interesting characters. Like, yeah, this version of Satan was kind of cool, and I did kind of like the villain. But the episode was just kind of boring, and some of the jokes kind of just played out for too long. But even though it was probably the weakest episode of the show in my opinion, it doesn't really drag down the season as a whole because the season just has such high highs. But yeah, overall, I think Invincible Season 4 is absolutely amazing. It's potentially my favorite season of the show so far. It's between Season 3 and Season 4. I think both of these seasons are really solid. And Invincible as a whole just continues to be consistently good, and I am very excited for Season 5. But anyways, I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about Invincible Season 4? Let me know in the comments below. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye!